Are you the 504 coordinator at your school and you have no idea how to have a meeting? Don't worry. In this video, I'm going to share with you what forms you need, how to conduct the meeting, and I'm going to share with you how you can get your hands on a basic outline. So don't worry, I got you. Be sure to watch this video all the way to the end because I want to share with you how you can get your hands on an outline to plan all of your 504 meetings seamlessly. My name is John Burnett, and this is Counseling with Mr. B, where I help you live, learn, and be stress-free. Hey y'all, I need you to do 3 things for me. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and hit that notification bell so you're aware when I post new videos. Thank you. Before you have a 504 meeting, these are a couple things that you need to send out. Invitation to the meeting. You can't have a meeting if the parent or guardian doesn't know when to have it or where to have it. Send out the prior written notice. So this is a form that you send out to parents letting them know about the identification and evaluation process. Generally, you have to send this out 10 days before the meeting. But in an emergency case, let's say you've got a due date coming up really soon, you can call that parent, ask them, do you want to waive your right to a 10-day notice, and have them sign a document so you can have a speedy meeting. I've done this before. Those deadlines can creep up on you. You have to make sure you stay on top of things. Before the meeting, send out the procedural safeguards. This is a document that lets families know their rights to their students' education. Be sure to have the family or guardian sign the procedural safeguards before the meeting or during the meeting. Have the student's teachers fill out a teacher evaluation or input form. This is where they talk about the things that they've noticed in the classroom as far as attendance, behavior, and academics. This form also has recommendations for teachers regarding accommodations and services that student might need. Remember, all accommodations that are decided upon are a team effort. It's not a one person, it's not just the counselor or the teacher or the administrator deciding it. Have a folder with these documents readily available when you have your meeting. The procedural safeguards, invitation to the meeting, teacher input form, meeting minutes, medical documentation for initial meetings, the service plan, and last, that student data, the report card, progress reports, attendance data, discipline data, teacher observations. So now we get into the order of the meeting. This is basically an agenda and order of how to conduct the meeting, and it's super important. The first thing you want to do is introduce the team. So everyone in the room needs to introduce themselves to the family or guardian. These are the people who need to be present during the meeting. You need a counselor, an administrator, and at least one general education teacher. If it's a severe need, like something like diabetes, you can get a nurse or someone from coordinated health and services. The student can also be present if they are age appropriate because they need to have a say-so and understand what's going on and what kind of meeting it is. Number 2, create an agenda. Again, this video will serve as a basic agenda. Number 3, present the procedural safeguards. Until you become familiar with it, you really need to read each statement. This is where it outlines the parent or guardian's rights. So they have a right to call a meeting anytime they want. They have a right to be informed of their students' education. And this is just a summary. There's quite a few statements of their rights, but they need to be informed, you need to be informed, and the team needs to be informed. If they haven't signed it already, have the parent or guardian sign that procedural safeguard in the meeting and keep a copy in the folder. Number 4, review the purpose of the meeting. Is this an eligibility meeting, an annual renewal, or termination of services? Present relevant data. Again, be prepared. Have attendance data, grade reports, discipline data. This is where you advocate for that student's services and accommodations, and you have to back it up with data. Review the accommodations. Beforehand, discuss as a team and come up with some accommodations that can realistically be provided by the classroom teachers. Remember that whatever you all agree upon as a team has to be upheld by the law, so be very mindful of the things that you put in the 504 accommodations. Here are a few accommodations that I've seen a lot of. Reminders to stay on task, preferential seating near the teacher, and graphic organizers. But again, these are based on the needs of the student, and these are the things that the teacher recommends as far as what they observe. Read the minutes of the meeting and make sure that everything necessary is included. If you're a new counselor, I would recommend you designate someone to take the minutes for your meetings while you're having it. Ask the parent or guardian if they have any questions. Close the meeting, and be sure to update any information in your online platform. Be sure to join the Learning Lab. It's a Facebook group that I created for other counselors, educators, and mental health professionals to network and receive resources. The link is in the description below. Comment below, have you conducted your first 504 meeting this year? Or do you have any questions about 504 meetings? In the description, I'm also going to include my basic outline for 504 meetings. You can take it, revise it, make it your own, and have fun with it.